What's up? I'm Troubleshoot. In this quick guide, I'll show you everything you need to know and more about automating the mixer, be it the Mixer Mark 1 or Mark 2 in Schedule 1. This includes how to automate mixing multiple mixes in with your product to get the most expensive outputs. Let's do it. First of all, if you haven't already automated things, you'll need to hire 2 specific employees. You'll need a handler to move things around and a chemist to actually use the mixer. In my previous guide linked down below, I showed you the basics of automating a crystal farm. However, if you're just starting here, open your map and at nighttime, visit the warehouse located over here on the far west side of the map. Inside of here, upstairs, you can hire both of these employees, the handler and the chemist, for around 1,000 cash each. Once you've sent them back to your house, use the new clipboard in slot number 9 to interact with both of them and assign them a bed by clicking None here. Then take them to a bed, left click, and there you go. Make sure that the briefcase over here has money in it, 200 a day for the handler and 300 a day for the chemist so that they can actually work. You can place multiple days in here in advance. Once that's handled, we can get to automating things. Again, in my previous guide, I automated this over here and set the output to here. But let's say you've just got some product on a storage rack and behind you, you've got some ingredients to mix in. Here, I've just got 20 of each. The order here is very important. Essentially, what'll happen in just a moment is our raw product, being just crystal, is moved into our mixer. Then, from our ingredients shelf here, it's moved from left to right in this order. So, the first row, item 1, 2, 3, 4, then the second row, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, if we have preferably 20 product placed in here, 20 of these will be taken at a time, then placed into this machine, and the product will be mixed in just a moment. Then it'll move through these items one by one. Now that we understand the basics, let's do it. First of all, we need our items to actually move around. For this, we'll interact using the clipboard with the handler. Then we'll create new routes here, where we're moving from our raw ingredient shelf, where we've got crystal, to the mixer over here. They'll take 20 or whatever the largest stack is at a time from here to here. Then we'll interact with our handler once more after they've placed this item in. There you go. And we'll create a new route where they'll move from our ingredient shelf here to the mixing station once more. Now you'll see the handler should come in and move the first item here, which is currently the energy drink, and place it in the mixing station. So here comes the handler, grabs that first item and places it in here. Once this is done, we'll need to make sure that the chemist is told to actually use this machine. So using your clipboard once more, interact with the chemist and make sure the assigned stations includes this mixing station here. If you have nothing selected, just left click this and then they only have this selected. If you're selecting multiple things, hold shift to select them. You can click them again while holding shift to unselect them, and make sure your last item that you click, you're not holding shift for to reopen this menu and save your changes. As you just saw, because we had this mixing station selected under the assigned stations, the chemist came in and started the mixing process. In around 50 seconds, 20 of these should be mixed, and as you can see already, the handler came in and grabbed the second item, which was the flu medicine, and placed it into the mixer slot here. So here you go, the first 2 items were used, the first one in our first load, and the second one in the upcoming one. However, as you'll notice, once this completes, nothing actually happens. Why is this? Well, simply because the output crystal is just going to be sitting around in the output block over here. In order to actually move it from the output back to the input, we need to use a shelf or some other kind of storage as a middleman. So for this, using a completely new shelf that isn't used anywhere else, just to make sure things don't get confused. For this, I'll use a small storage shelf, but it doesn't really matter what you're using for this, and we'll set the output of this mixing station by holding the clipboard, pressing E, setting destination to be this shelf here, this temporary shelf that we're only using for output from this machine. So there you go. You'll also notice that there's a threshold here as well, but this doesn't matter. Essentially, whatever this threshold is set to is the minimum required of both product and mixer to actually come and start the mixing process. Preferably we'd set this to 20, but we can't. And crystal usually comes in sets of 10 straight from the oven over here, so it doesn't really matter. Leaving it at whatever number is fine. And as you saw in the background, our chemist finished the process and moved the first step to the shelf over here. Perfect. Now, all we need to do is tell our handler to move in a new route from this temporary shelf to our mixing station here. Just like that, the product is moved back in to the input as such. And because we've already got the second item lined up, the chemist should come in and start the process. All we need to do now is wait for this to loop over and over, output to here, new item in, through all 8 of these products here. So we'll just sit back and wait for that to complete. So there goes another, start it again. Just keep in mind that if you haven't already discovered one of these mixtures, you'll need to come in and confirm the name of it on this machine first before the chemist is able to continue and start the next load. So naming this, the chemist comes in and the next load is started, then the next, until eventually we run through all 8 items. So we've got one final item to come in and get mixed as such. And just like that, your tedious mixing process has been sped up infinitely. Just keep in mind, the last time that this runs, your final output ingredient will be added back to the mixing station, where you'll need to grab it later on. So there you go. This product has been mixed 8 separate times. All we need to do is grab the output here and place it in the packing station or on a shelf that's destined for the packing station, and it should be automatically handled from there if you've got a packer handling your packing stations, for example, but you'll find a guide for that down below. Assuming you want to add more than just 8 separate ingredients, you can leave these in here and just make sure that your shelf over here is stocked up with new ingredients. A thing to note is if you've got multiple ingredients in here still destined to be used, and place something at the very top left or somewhere before the rest of these items in that order we mentioned earlier, it'll be taken first instead of continuing the process. So you'll need to add new items after everything in your queue. Assuming this rack is completely empty, now you can go ahead and add your 9th, 10th, 11th, and so on items if you wish. Usually though, up to 8 is more than enough to get really good quality stuff. If you want to do more, that's how you do it. So just keep in mind, the order of this is absolutely imperative to getting the mix happening properly. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You'll find more Schedule 1 guides linked down below. Hopefully you found this video useful. Thank you for watching. My name's been Troubleshoot, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao.